So in this video, I just wanted to showcase the differences between, last gen models and this current gen model. Obviously, this used 2016. This is the first year they actually did the revision and update. 2015 was a slightly different body design and had minor differences. This bike was the first year with the update, and then we've got the 2021 with the first year's update right here. Obviously, biggest difference that you can see with the eye is going to be the front end. The 16 on up to the 20 had the dual halogen headlights. We now have all new LED headlights with the integrated winglets. You can kind of see a little low profile windscreen, or rider's bubble as I like to call it. You look over here to this 2021, it's more squared off. It's a little bigger, windscreen's taller, but that's going to help the rider get into a tuck, be more aerodynamic, and reach a higher top speed. You've got a couple little differences that you may not notice or know right off the bat. It's actually, the 2021 is a little bit longer wheelbase wise than the 2016. The rear swing arm is 8 millimeters longer, and then the front, basically the steering stem, has been increased by 2 millimeters. The pivot's been increased. That's going to help your turn in, your front end stability. Also, it's going to make it stable at higher speeds as well. Let's get to the biggest difference on both of these bikes. We're talking the old Casio style tachometer, which is super cool. Let's go ahead and turn it on so that way you can see it light up. It's definitely, when it came out, it was ahead of its time, but man, this thing is outdated. You still can, navigate the instrument cluster through all of the aids, the electronics, power modes, things like that, but it just wasn't pleasing to the eye. With companies like Yamaha, Honda, even Suzuki, I mean, their dash isn't the cleanest, but it's definitely more updated than this one right here. You come over to the 2021, this bike isn't hot, so I can't turn it on, but in my last video, you'll see plenty of footage of this cluster on. It's a 4.3 TFT dash, and it is bright. It also has Bluetooth connectivity, so you can track your rides through the Rideology app. Another big difference is going to be this rear end design. You can see, on the old 16, it is pretty straightforward, very slender, very slim. It's not, the most aggressive thing, but, you look at the R1 and it's very narrow, it's very streamlined. You come over here and look at the 2021, you've got cutouts. It's very streamlined still. It's not super bulky. It has that same similar effect as the R1 does. Kawasaki says this creates an area of low pressure. So the way I like to think of it is when this bike is leaned over, you've got air going through the winglets, right? Creating downforce there. You're hanging off, so air is basically streamlining over here, and whoop, kind of like a spoiler on a car. It creates that downforce and keeps you planted to the ground. Underneath these plastics, these bikes are very, very similar. The engine on the 2021 has been revised and updated. It's Euro 5 compliant. You'll notice it's got a slightly different muffler on the tail end of the pipe, and I'm sure that's for Euro 5 emission regulations. It's really, really subtle, but it's going to make the biggest difference with this bike being legal emissions wise. They basically updated the engine internally to create more power. They also geared the 2021 a little bit differently down low. I think the ratios in first and second are a little different, so you've got a little bit more off the bottom end, whereas the 2016, it just feels like an anchor in the low RPMs. And once you get this thing revved out, it's a rocket. So you could imagine with the 2021 all the way through the RPMs, this bike is going to be screaming. I know I talked about Kawasaki updating this bike to do some catching up, but honestly, it's not just caught up. I believe it's surpassed the competition. I'm trying to get you more of a cockpit view here. I know the Osmo, it doesn't really, it's hard to get this on camera, the cockpit mode here, but this looks a lot taller than if you come over here to this one. It looks wider, yeah, for sure, but it's just not, you really got to get skinny to get under this thing. This bike over here, you're like in a wind tunnel. You're tucked in. I'm going to close it out. These are the big differences that I think is super important to cover on the ZX10Rs. I've always wanted to see the comparison myself, and it's just so great. You can't go wrong with either machine. If you guys have any questions or comments about either one of these bikes' differences, leave them down in the comments below. I would do my best to answer them. That's it. I'm closing this one out. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Ride safe, have fun, and we'll see you on the next one.